Hey everyone, what's going on? Very impromptu BRAP rant. Look, I wasn't even. I had no plans to do a quick BRAP rant, but this news just popped up, and I want to talk about it because did Google and Nvidia just give Microsoft's acquisition of Activision a big blow? Pause, by the way. Let's just, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's officially kick off this rant. Hey everyone, welcome back to BRAP. Do me a quick favor, hit the like button, and I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Hey, Ice Queen Gaming, always a pleasure to see you. I just want to do a quick BRAP rant because this news just broke, I think within the last 30, 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But I wasn't, look, so it's interesting, and we've talked a lot about this acquisition and how companies during the regulatory process when it comes to mergers, acquisitions, M&As, how competitors will chime into the regulatory agencies. And look, we've said this before, as many times as the QAnon type Xbox conspiracy theorist, and again, I'm not saying the entire Xbox community is like that, but there are some podcasts out there and influencers, if you will, that borderline wearing buffalo outfits, dressed like the QAnon shaman. And a lot of those people were running with this idea and villainizing Sony and villainizing Jim Ryan, which was very odd to say the least. Without and saying that and villainizing Lena Khan at that, which is odd again. Putting a lot of emotion behind this deal, which is odd again. But what's interesting is that if you've paid attention to other M&As, and we talked about it on the show on numerous occasions, companies who have something or looking to protect their vested interests are going to do so and are going to voice their opinions about mergers and acquisitions that could impact their bottom line. That's not unusual. And people were running, well, Sony's the only one that has a problem with this. And therefore this deal should go through because it's only Sony. And my thing is, look, let's let the regulatory process play out, okay? And I always thought in my mind, just because Sony's the only one speaking out against this deal doesn't mean that others may not raise their hands at some point and speak out or raise issues about this particular deal happening. And here we are, January 12th, 2023, 12 days into the new year, and two behemoths in gaming and technology have voiced concerns to the FTC. Now, again, no one should be surprised by this because you think about what Google does, you think about their play in the mobile space as relates to gaming. Microsoft's people, I don't think, have talked about part of this acquisition of ABK is to better position Microsoft in the mobile gaming space. And then Nvidia, we know Microsoft spoke out against the ARM acquisition by Nvidia, and that acquisition didn't go through. Microsoft was very much against that acquisition of ARM by Nvidia. So what I'm wondering is if people are now going to villainize Google and Nvidia, which you hate to see it, but you know it's going to happen. But everyone, just calm down. Let the regulatory process play out. Seriously, all jokes aside, just let the regulatory process play out. This isn't anything unusual what we're seeing. It's very common, again, for companies to speak out against M&As, especially if they could potentially have an impact in their business, their bottom line. Again, the C-level executives, they're in the business of protecting their shareholders, making money for the company, making money, more importantly, for the shareholders. They have a legal fiduciary responsibility, and Falky can back me up on this. Falky can back me up on this, that C-level executives have fiduciary legal responsibilities to make their shareholders money. So when I see people ascribe these values, these altruistic values to companies like Microsoft, they're great. They love consumers. It's really weird, because these companies don't care about you. They care about their shareholders. They care about making money. That's it. That's all they care about. So, but look, I mean, this is, the one thing, and I'll give you just my quick opinion on this latest development of Google and Nvidia expressing concerns to the FTC about the Microsoft acquisition of ABK. It's I thought the one thing that maybe Microsoft had going in its favor with the regulatory bodies is that, in fact, Sony was the only one that was out here protesting and saying, look, we think this deal isn't good. We think it hurts competition. We think it hurts the marketplace. And I think that, Microsoft presumably could say, hey, to the FTC, look, they are publishers in the industry, and they are people in the industry who've okayed this deal. But I would tell anyone who uses like a large publisher, say, well, to use a large publisher, let's say as like Electronic Arts as an example, that, hey, well, EA backs this deal, or Take-Two backs this deal. They have no concerns. Well, of course they don't, because this deal could benefit them in the long run. Certainly opens up the opportunity, the conversation, where maybe these publishers may be saying, wait a minute, ABK got $70 billion. Let's see what we can fetch. And so we know these deals are going to go through. So let's kind of kick the tires and see what acquisition opportunities are there for us where we can make money. And as Falky says, and I just want to reiterate this as well, again, companies, C-level executives like Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan have legal fiduciary responsibilities to make their shareholders money. And like Falky said, they go to jail if they don't. Falky also says shareholders are number one stakeholders, and legislation demands that maximum returns be sought for them. There we go. So thank you for that, Falky. It's crazy I have to explain that again, because that information is readily available by simple Google search, but some of the extremists won't do that. So, but anyhow, so again, I thought that, Microsoft's kind of feather in the cap in their argument, maybe to the FTC, was, hey, other people in the industry don't have issues with this merger acquisition. Sony's the only one. Nintendo hasn't voiced any concerns. Sony's the only one that has an issue with it. But now we have Google and Nvidia who have seemingly sided with the FTC. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I do think that maybe this deal's gotten a little bit harder for Microsoft to get through now, because now you have Google and Nvidia expressing concerns to the FTC. Now, it's going to be interesting how that translates to the CMA and, the EU. Obviously, they are still doing their due diligence right now. And I believe the CMA, if I'm not mistaken, will release some kind of report or update, I believe, in April, although they're saying before April. But April, the new deadline was extended to April, but they're saying they're doing their best to expedite that report. So, so Falky says there will be more voice of concerns in coming weeks, I suspect. I think so too, Falky. I think we should not be surprised if there are other voices that come out and speak out against this. Like it just wouldn't surprise me now that you have Nvidia, Google. Again, never speak in absolutes, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But again, I think that this may have made things maybe a little more difficult for Microsoft, because again, as I just mentioned, if you just tuned into the show, the one thing that Microsoft could argue in its favor was that, hey, look, no one else in the gaming industry or in technology has voiced concern about this deal. Nintendo hasn't, but it's only Sony. And here we are, Google and Nvidia now expressing concern. So So let's see. Let's go to the article here. All right. So Google and Nvidia expressed concerns to the FTC about Microsoft's deal. The two companies joined Sony in raising issues with the $69 billion transaction, which the FTC has sued to block. So this was just updated at 3:24 Eastern Standard Time. So okay, about 2 hours ago. And here we go. Alphabet Inc.'s Google and Nvidia Corporation. By the way, news of this actually sent Activision shares down to about $75. I believe that might be in this article, but remember, Microsoft's paying $95 per share, which is well over the current value of the shares for Activision. So very sweet deal for Activision. The companies joined Sony Corporation in raising issues with the transaction, with the FTC sued to block in December. The commission has argued that this deal would hinder competition in the video game industry and has scheduled an in-house trials for August. So we know about that piece here. Google and Nvidia provided information that backs a key FTC contention that Microsoft could gain an unfair advantage in the market for cloud subscription and mobile gaming. So they are, think about what Google does. They're in cloud. Nvidia, they have cloud solutions for gaming. If you look at mobile gaming, Google's very much entrenched in the mobile gaming space. So again, Google and Nvidia are providing information that backs a key FTC contention that Microsoft could gain an unfair advantage in the market for cloud subscription and mobile gaming. And we talked a little bit about on this show, like what that might look like how Microsoft could, use a loss leader strategy because they can afford to, frankly, and how that could be unfair to, the market. And how this could kick off maybe mass consolidation in ways that we haven't seen previously in the gaming industry. And we've argued that mass consolidation in consumers isn't necessarily good because the less choice you have in terms of who is selling a particular product, the more likely you are to potentially pay higher prices because you don't have anywhere else to go to buy a product or good or service or whatever the case is. So, but anyhow, in its remarks to according to the people who asked not to be identified because the process is confidential, in its remarks to the FTC, Nvidia stressed the need for equal and open access to game titles, but did not directly oppose the acquisition, according to one of the people. Okay, so Nvidia is not saying, "Hey, we're totally opposed to this whole thing," but they are saying there needs to be open. Equal and open access to game titles. And I wonder if that's a conversation that will lead into concessions here. Like, are they some kind of concessions guarantees that Microsoft will make to ensure that there's equal and open access to game titles? So, here we go. Shares of Activision dipped to session lows after Bloomberg reported this news. The stock is currently trading at $76.75. That's well below the $95 a share bid. Suggesting and Bloomberg saying that this suggests that investors see closing the deal is going to be an uphill fight for Microsoft. Now, Microsoft rose less than 1%, and their stocks are $237.88. Now, Nvidia and Google are both major forces in the industry. As we know, Nvidia leads the market for graphics cards, and Google competes with Microsoft in cloud computing services with their with GCN, and they did, we know Stadia failed. Although they are still using the technology that Stadia was built around. Google's Android mobile operating system is also central to how millions of people play video games. Representatives of Google, Nvidia, and Microsoft declined to comment. So some of the feedback here, according to some of this feedback, adds to the argument that Microsoft could tie more exclusive content to its Xbox Game Pass service, which already leads the market for gaming subscriptions. In its defense, Microsoft has said that regulators are giving too much weight to concerns raised by Sony. In addition to publicly decrying the transaction, Sony has said in filings in Brazil and UK regulators that the deal will harm competition. So these are things that we all know. So this is we don't have any insight to necessarily something to the specifics of what what Google is saying their concerns are, but we do get some insight, some idea into Nvidia. Again, Nvidia stressing the need for equal and open access to game titles, but again, not necessarily maybe according to the sources, not necessarily directly opposing the acquisition. So it's going to be it's look, this is something that is still obviously this is a development story, and look, we'll find out. We're going to find out later this year if this deal goes through, and or what kind of, and if the deal goes through, like what kind of concessions maybe does Microsoft have to make to get this deal through. So I do think it's interesting that Google, Google and Nvidia are now expressing concerns. So Sarah Gant says Nvidia and Google, three monopolies trying to protect their monopolies, is hilarious. I wouldn't say that Google and Nvidia are monopolies per se. There are other players in the search engine space. There's also other players in cloud. There's other players in graphics cards. So I wouldn't say that those are three monopolies. Suron Grant, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Falky says Google Mobile Gaming. Let me pull Falky up here. Falky says Google Mobile Gaming is a big contributor to ABK revenue. So is also a decent revenue stream in turn. So thank you for that. Thank you for that insight there, Falky. Hey, and Nate, how was Midnight Suns, by the way? I've been wondering if I should pick that up. Be interesting to get your feedback on that. So that is the latest and greatest with regards to the FTC or to the proposed acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. Again, if you're just tuning into the show, Google and Nvidia have expressed concerns to the FTC about Microsoft's Activision deal. So again, let the process play out. We'll see what's going to happen. I'm not going to make any definitive statements of any likely outcome, but this is interesting. It's certainly interesting. It's certainly an interesting news story to follow. Also not going to villainize Google or Nvidia, as I'm sure some people will. But yeah, it's this is it's going to be curious to see if there are other companies that in technology and gaming that come out and voice similar concerns to the FTC as well. So, but it's interesting. I'm wondering why now for Google and Nvidia. We've known for some time about the suit to block this deal by the FTC, and the FTC was collecting information surveys, if you will, from other companies. It's just interesting that that they chose this time to speak out, but maybe they had a reason for it. We don't know because we're not privy to behind the scenes at Google and Nvidia. So, so you're a huge fan of XCOM too. Okay, yeah, let me know, Nate. Just curious to see how it is. I'm big Marvel fan, so there's a good Marvel game, I'm definitely interested in and playing it. So Chewy says a lawsuit strategy is anti-competitive. Microsoft doesn't want the FTC opening up the books on their financials when it comes to Game Pass sustainability. We do know that Game Pass is profitable now, according to Phil Spencer. So yeah. But I don't know, Falky, what do you think is going to happen next, Falky? I'm just interested in getting your perspective here since you're in the live chat. Do you think that we'll see some other technology companies come out, voice concern? Do you think Google will and Nvidia will voice concerns to the CMA and the EU as well? That's the other thing. Is that something that happens soon? I guess we'll find out, I suppose. But remember, that Microsoft did voice concern over they protested the acquisition of ARM by Nvidia. So maybe it's not coincidence that Nvidia chimed in, but who knows? Who knows? We can't say for sure. But Vex is profitable in one sense, meaning that it's profitable. I don't know what you mean by profitable in one sense. Profitable for Xbox. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, again, developing story. We'll see how this plays out. And hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the live chat. Oh, here we go. Falky. Falky says some others. Here we go. Falky says some others will voice concern to FTC. Not sure about EU CMA. Remedies likely to be quiet, restrictive, and could be a deal killer. Okay. Thank you for that intel, Falky. But yeah, so again, interested to see how this plays out. And I'm sure we'll get some more updates on this soon, because I feel like we don't go a month without some kind of breaking news as it relates to this acquisition of Activision by Microsoft. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. If you think that we'll see more concerns being expressed by some other tech companies or gaming companies, and if you think that Nvidia and Google will express concerns to the other regulatory bodies, the CMA and the EU as well. So look, everyone, this was going to be a quick BRAP rant, so I want to thank you all for coming by and hanging out with me, and appreciate your time as always. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And if you're Moneybag says BRAP don't want the deal so bad. So let me just address this real quick. Moneybag, I don't care if this deal goes through or not. It doesn't. This deal going through is inconsequential to me. It doesn't do anything for me. Like if it doesn't go through, it doesn't impact me. If it does go through, yeah, maybe I start picking up COD and Game Pass, assuming that Game Pass is all for me other content to justify the $180 I'm spending yearly for the subscription. But other than that, I mean, it's I really don't care if this deal goes through or not, to be honest with you. Not sure how you, yeah, yeah. But thank you for the commentary, Moneybag. Yeah, so look, again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And please do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And thank you, everyone, by the way, for joining this impromptu rant. I really appreciate it. Like I said, it was kind of at the 11th hour. You know, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so that you're also alerted when we go live. And also check out the yesterday's BRAP podcast, by the way. If you haven't done so, please check that out. Great show last night. Had a blast. Great conversation. We were discussing some of the developers that have left Playground Studios. I know Fable is not in trouble. I'm not buying into that, by the way, that somehow Fable's in trouble. I've seen some people say that. I don't agree. I don't think Fable's in trouble. But we also talked about a little bit about Starfield and stuff like that. And then you can also hear Slow-Mo and Forte make fun of me as I was trying to figure out how to set up my Arctis 7P headsets on my PC. So great show last night. But look, thank you everyone again for watching the show. Appreciate it. And we'll get you next time. Or should I, or as I always say, or as I'm saying more recently, I need more coffee, by the way. I slept like 4 hours last night and I'm just dead tired. But till next time, gamers, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.